All right, I don't know if you've ever heard of a capstan or a capstan. I don't even know how to say it because I hadn't. I live in the desert. This thing's on boats. I don't go on many boats. But the idea of a capstan is that it's this metal pole thing right here. You see it right here? And you wrap this rope around it. Why would you do this? Well, because maybe you got like Moby Dick on this side. You're like, oh my God, I don't want Moby Dick to get away. And he's pulling with all this force. My sailors aren't strong enough. Well, what you do is you wrap the rope around this thing, and the friction helps your sailors hold on to the other end. In other words, over here, imagine your sailors are pulling with this tension TL right here, but they're not very strong. And Moby Dick's pulling here with the T heavy, so heavy or light. And T heavy is really heavy, Moby Dick. So what you do is you wrap this around a certain amount of times here, and the friction helps you out because Moby Dick's trying to pull it this way. But notice, you guys are both pulling. There's normal force here. It's pulling into it. There's friction. So Moby is trying to make this slide this way, but the friction of this rope is going to help you out. And so the friction and your sailors work together. Teamwork makes the dream work. They don't have to pull as hard to hold Moby Dick in place. And you can do the physics, and the physics looks like this. It says that the amount your sailors have to pull with, right here, TL, is going to be equal to the amount Moby Dick pulls with, this TH, times this e to the negative mu, coefficient of static friction, times theta. Theta is like how much angle you wrap this around. So this is only like 90 degrees. But you can imagine wrapping this thing around like 2 pi, 2 pi, 2 pi, 2 pi, 2 pi, like 12 pi. You get a lot of advantage here. That's the idea. So how do you derive this thing? Like, I never heard of this until today. But I was like, oh, shoot. And someone turned my attention to it, and I was like, oh, dude, yeah, I kind of want to figure that out. And so, yeah, figured it out today. I wanted to share it with people who might be interested. Okay, so how do you derive this formula? Well, imagine zooming in on an infinitesimal piece of this rope, this arc, and then blowing that up. And so let's do that. Let's blow that up. And I'm going to do that down here. So let me keep that image right there. Okay, so we blow this up. This is the piece that I'm looking at right there. Just blown up. And okay, so this left-hand side wouldn't be TL. This would be a certain amount of tension, but it's not going to be TL. Like, the tension in the rope gets smaller and smaller, or bigger and bigger as you go to the right? And then it becomes Moby Dick tension over here. I'm just going to call this T. This is the T at the left side of whatever point up here I'm considering for my infinitesimal force or section of the rope. And then on this side, it's bigger. This is going to be more tension. It's not going to be TH tension because I'm just like on the other side of that infinitesimal part. How much bigger? Well, let's call it T plus dt, a differentially small amount, because I'm going to make this a differentially small angle. I'm going to say this is d theta. I'm going to analyze this in such a way that this is an infinitesimally small piece. I drew some lines here, and we'll get to that in a minute. I'll show you what the trigonometry looks like. How does this get bigger? Well, it's because there's friction. There's friction helping you out over here, right? So this is the force of static friction. Force of static friction pulls this way. You and your sailors pull this way. That accounts for the fact that this tension over here can be bigger. So let's try to derive that formula. How do you do it? Well, we need to get some angles in here. So if this whole thing is d theta, then that is d theta over 2. Fine. This is a right angle the way I've drawn it. It goes up to here, and I've formed a triangle. That means this would be, pi minus d theta over 2. Okay, fine. But I want the horizontal pieces of this and the vertical pieces, because what I want to do is set like net force in the x is 0. And then I'm going to do net force in the y is 0 over here. Net force in the y will be 0, because just imagine you're just holding Moby Dick still. You're just like not letting him go. And we're asking how much force is necessary for this to be right. And you want to pull with the least amount. I want to know, like, what's the least amount of tension you could pull with? So I want friction doing the most it could do so that you could do the least you could do to just hold it still. But I need the components here to figure this out. So if this is d theta over 2, and this is 90, and that's pi minus d theta over 2, then I could draw this line right here. And I could be like, well, then I know that's 90. So if this is pi minus d theta over 2, then this has to be the other part, d theta over 2. Because these are like similar triangles right here. So you'd be like, well, then that one's got to be d theta over 2. And these here are alternate interior angles. And so this has to also be d theta over 2 on this side. So I could just say like, okay, well, I know what this side's going to be. This is going to be t. And notice, this t is the same as that t. T plus dt is bigger than t, but this t is just that t plus a little bit. And so I've got t plus dt multiplied by, I want the horizontal piece, so I'm going to do cosine, because this angle right here is the same as this angle right there. Cosine of d theta over 2. All right, and then that's the rightward piece. Now I got minus fs, minus fs. You might be like, wait, how we know fs goes right to the left? This is, why not this way or that way? Well, we're going to make this infinitesimally small, and so it's not going to kind of matter. You'll see in a minute. It kind of doesn't matter where I draw this, but I'm going to draw it leftward. So fs goes, I mean, it definitely goes left, not right, but like where I draw it on this arc isn't kind of going to matter in a second. You'll see. And then I got this t over here. Well, this is the same angle, right? That angle is the same as this angle. So I could say minus, because this is going leftward, as well as this one, leftward, t cosine d theta over 2. That should all equal 0. I'll just put 0 on this side. Equals 0. Okay, so what could we do here? Well, I could multiply through. I could be like, well, this is going to be t cosine d theta over 2 plus dt. Just multiply through cosine d theta over 2. I've got minus fs. I got minus t cosine d theta over 2. And then you realize, well, this and this go away because they just cancel. And then we're going to use a small angle approximation. So I don't know if you've ever done this. Some physicists love to do. Look, I made this infinitesimal. And the reason I did is I want to do this. I want to do the cosine theta for small angles is approximately 1. If you don't believe me, take out your calculator or whatever, turn it to radian mode, take cosine of 0.000001, and you'll get like 0.999999, which is basically 1. So cosine of theta is for small angles, like really small angles. It's about 1. How about sine theta? We're going to use this in a second too. Turns out for sine theta, for small angles, sine theta is about theta. So again, take out your calculator, but sine, put in radian, sine of 0.001 is going to be like 0.00 or 0.0009999999, which is about 0.001. And so it's about equal to theta. But over here, so what I can do is I can say that 0 is going to equal dt cosine, or d capital T, sorry, times cosine of a very small angle, which is going to make that 1. That's approximately 1. Minus fs equals 0. You might be, this is too simple. But look, it makes sense. It says that fs, if I solve, equals dt. And it's like, that makes sense? That definitely makes sense. Look, we're saying that t plus fs equals, or look at, I know that t plus dt equals fs plus t. Well, that means this extra part, right? What's that going to be? It's going to be fs, because t plus fs should equal t plus dt. And that means dt is fs. It's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. So that works. If we do this for the vertical, now we do have a normal force, right? We got a normal force going this way, because these ropes are pulling in the picture here. It's downward, so there's going to be a normal force. I'll just call it N, upward. Now I'll call it Fn. Call it force of normal upward. So I've got this normal force up, minus I got these tensions pulling down. So I need this piece now and this piece now. So that's going to be the sine component of this d theta over 2. So I'm going to do minus t, sine d theta over 2. And then over here I've got minus, because it's also downward, t plus dt times sine d theta over 2. That should all equal 0 because we're just holding Moby Dick still. I can multiply through. I could say that Fn, let me move this further down. I could say that Fn is going to be minus, t times, well, I'm going to do the small angle approximation now. I'm going to say this is infinitesimally small. So t times sine d theta over 2 for small angles is just like t times d theta over 2. Minus, and again, if you're like, but it's not equal to that. Well, if it's infinitesimally small, it is, because like this thing is infinitesimally small. This approximation becomes perfect for infinitesimally small angles. So if that bothers you, I don't blame you. It bothered me the first time I dealt with it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I kind of get it after a while. All right, so now I'm going to multiply through with this. I get t times, again, I'm writing sine d theta over 2 as just d theta over 2 for small angles. Then I get minus dt times dt times d theta over 2 equals 0. Okay, here's another move. If you didn't like the small angle approximation, you're going to hate this part. This is another thing I hated. I'm going to say that this term is negligible. And you might be like, what do you mean negligible? Like all these terms are infinitesimal. Look, I got d theta's here, d theta's here, but this one has 2 differentials. And the reason I can say that's negligible is because even though these are infinitesimally small, I'm going to end up integrating in a minute. That's going to make them big. But I'm only going to be integrating once. I'm not going to integrate twice. So even when I integrate this term one time, it's still going to give me an infinitesimally small answer because I'll still have an infinitesimal on it. Or another way to think of it is like, imagine I added 9 plus dx. Okay, that's 9 because Adding dx to 9 adds nothing. This is differentially small. Now, if I have 9 times dx, you can't be like, oh, this is small, I'm going to ignore it. No, multiplying it, you got to leave it there. But if it's added infinitesimally small, and these are, look, this term is infinitesimally small compared to this. So to put it another way, this term's infinitesimally small, and this term is infinitesimally small compared to this term. That's how small this term is. So in other words, you know, if you have 2 differentials multiplied and everything else that you're added to only has 1, this is 0. That thing doesn't contribute at all. And again, I hated that the first time I saw it, but if you think about it, kind of makes sense. If you add something infinitesimally small to something that isn't, well, then this contributes nothing. So what I get over here is Fn times, I got 2 of these, so I could write it as minus just t d theta equals 0. Well, look, now I got what Fn is. I know that Fn is t d theta. Wonderful. Why do I care? Because look at this is Fs. I know Fs is mu s. I'm just going to write it as mu because that's how they did it in the formula. Mu s, but it's really mu s times Fn. Now, I'm only allowed to do that because I'm presuming that we're at the breaking point right here, right? If this gets any larger, it's going to like, whoop. So I'm going to exert the least possible amount so that friction is doing the most it can, so that friction is maxed out. This is the maximum static friction right here. So I get this formula. Well, look, I could plug Fn. This whole thing is Fn. I could plug this in for Fn. What I would get over here would be, I'll put it right here, I'd get mu times t d theta equals dt. Okay, well, this is a differential equation. And I could separate, integrate, celebrate. It's single order. So I could just move the t's over to one side, leave the thetas on the other side. And look at what I'm going to get. I'm going to get dt. So over here, I'm going to get dt over t if I imagine dividing both sides by t. And then on the other side, I'm going to have equals mu d theta. Okay, I separated because t's are over here, theta's over here. Separate, I integrate. So now I integrate. Theta just goes from 0 to however much theta you went through, right? This one's like 0 to pi, or 0 to pi over 2. The rope up there was like 0 to God knows how many 2 pi's over there. But anyways, how much theta you go to? T goes from this left end, which is TL, the light end, to the heavy end, all the way. So this was just rando t, variable t. But this is like the t on this end, and that's the t on that end, so I integrate. Integral of 1 over t is log, so I'm going to get log of th minus log of TL, that's an h, equals integral of, well, mu is a constant. Integral of d theta is just theta. So I get mu times theta from 0 to theta. So the 0 term gives me 0. Well, I could write a log of a difference as log of a ratio. So I could do th over TL equals mu theta. Well, to get rid of this log, I could take e to the both sides. And that cancels out that. And what I get is, let me come over here, I get th over TL equals e to the mu theta. And, well, I want to solve for TL. The way they had the Capstan formula written up there was, what is TL and what is my light amount compared to my heavy amount? So I'm going to solve for TL. I'm going to move TL here, move e to the other side. I get th times e to the negative because I did 1 over this thing. E to the negative mu theta. And it's like, damn, yeah. They right. Whoever figured that out, Capstan, whoever you are, good job, man. Figured it out. That's pretty sick. So, yeah, the more angle you wrap that rope around and the more mu, right, the stickier, the grippier the surface, the better the advantage you get. Moby Dick might be pulling with like 10,000 newtons and you might only be pulling with like 100 newtons because of this Capstan or Capstan formula, and that's how you derive it.